Good afternoon, everyone. We are live here at Turning Point USA's America Fest here at the Phoenix Convention Center 2025. We're right here at the Main Street Media Network booth. My name is Michael Rebello. I'm a 20-year-old entrepreneur who chose entrepreneurship over the traditional college path. I'm inspired and driven by my goal to retire my mother and to help other middle Americans like her on Main Street America to learn about and invest in multifamily real estate to build long-lasting financial freedom and to get their time back. I'm also a Gen Z advocate for a podcast and also young entrepreneurs who want to be capitalists and to go against the grind of society. And today, I'm joined by Taylor Winston. Taylor, how are you today, my friend?
Thank you for having me on, Michael.
Of course, the pleasure is mine. So Taylor, I did a little bit of research about you. You and I were just talking before we got you on the studio.
Yes, sir.
I know what your mission is, what your story is, what you advocate for, but the audience may not know. So walk us through your origin story and what brings you here to Turning Point USA.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Taylor Winston. I am the 2A daddy, if you will, Second Amendment daddy. That was born from a business. I wanted to be an entrepreneur as well. So congratulations on your successful business.
Thank you.
I know how much work it takes to get there. Second Amendment daddy stems from we need more fathers to step up. We need more nuclear families. And if we just had more fathers taking accountability of their families and raising kids and teaching them things in this nation, we would solve a lot of problems. And so that paired with our Second Amendment, to me, being the most important amendment that protects the rest of them, I slammed those two things together and we came up with 2A Daddy.
I love that. Taylor, I kind of want to dive in a little bit to what you just said, you know, the nuclear family. I'm all for that. You know, you have the husband, you have the wife, you have the kids, the car, the house, the white picket fence, you know, that kind of image. But I feel like the United States and most of the world has strayed away from that. Why do you think that is? What have you been seeing on the front lines of like your industry, your business, and what you've been seeing as a father?
I would say that nuclear families are bad for corporate businesses. They can't keep a sustainable amount of employees. They want these women to come out of the homes and offer you all these things to be successful and make money. And you could be the breadwinner. Why do you need to rely on your husband? And it's really not about any of that for us. It's just if we have a child, there are some options. One of those options is one of the parents, doesn't matter, stay home and help raise the children. That's your 24/7 job. That's it. My wife, bless her heart, she tries to help with all the business stuff, but she's literally locked in with the kids from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m.
And that's a full-time job.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Every day. And so that's option A that we have chose. Option B is you get other people to take care of your kids for you. And so, and there's no other way around that. If both parents have to, and I'm not saying it's bad if you do, but if you both have to go work, someone else is taking care of your kids or they're taking care of themselves. So to me, just building a nuclear family and spending that time with the kids raises the next generation to be better and more enlightened. And what I'm seeing with all the corporations and all these ideas in our society and our cultural norms shifting is that they don't like that because there's more efficiency having more workers, and it's just bad for business.
You know what, Taylor, I'm going to come out and just say I despise corporate America. I really do.
Yeah.
Because my mother, she's still in her corporate job, but there's still so much time that she gives to this company. It's like,
they take your soul. They suck it out of you.
Like, what about time with me and my grandmother, who we all live together because that's what we do as family. We stick together. We help each other. And it appalls me with the amount of work that she's going through, the amount of hours she has to put for what? And they're not even, like, you know, treating her correctly. It's like,
and then you get then after 20 years of faithful devotion to this company, you get a nice little pin on your lapel, and and they say thank you, and they're on to the next. So you just not wasted, but you spent all of your time working for this company to provide for your family. And people are in situations that I'm not going to judge. Like, if you have to do that to provide for your family, we understand. If you have the option to spend more time with your children as 2A daddy, whether it's myself or my wife, one of us, then that's what I would encourage people to do.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that. Now I want to pivot to your brand, 2A Daddy. So, Second Amendment Dad, right?
Yes, sir.
So I would love for you to, take us through that story of how that came to be. There must have been some sort of story or pivotal moment for you to go, I need to create this brand or this company, and I need to be an advocate for the Second Amendment. So walk us through that.
So in 2016, like many of us, Donald Trump inspired us to be more engaged with politics, whether you like him or hate him. You voted for him or you're not going to vote for him. I don't care what your reasoning is. People got more engaged in 2016.
Right.
We've had a de-enlightened population just over many, many decades, and Trump revitalized that a little bit at least, along with Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. So 2016, I was oblivious to policies. I had no idea. I had no interest of having any idea. And so for me, Trump revitalized that. I was like, you're right, Trump. There is stuff going on behind the scenes I have no clue about that's affecting me and the next generation taking our rights away. I want to be more about this. So that spark happened. In 2017, there was a mass shooting in Las Vegas. There was a gunman who shot and killed 58 Angels at the Route 91 Las Vegas shooting, and also injured over 800 and I believe 26 or 32 other individuals. I was one of those people there on the ground. I ran for my life, and at some point I had a great idea to go commandeer a vehicle from the work staff parking lot. The first vehicle I checked ended up having the keys in the center console. I then drove back into the gunfire, started loading the most critically injured individuals into the truck, and raced them to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, I was the first person. A lot of people did this with their own vehicles. My story is unique just because I commandeered a vehicle. I was the first person there. I just started dumping limp bodies into the lobby, and it just was just a floor of red everywhere. And all the nurses and doctors, I was like, there's more coming, and they all started scrambling. And sure enough, very shortly after, just truck after car after truck piling into the hospital, dropping off critically injured victims. I then took that truck and went back to the scene, and at this time, I believe the gunfire had ended, but it still wasn't like a safe zone to be in.
Yeah.
And there were still hundreds of critically injured people needing help, and so I drove back into the festival, loaded up to the next batch of people, and took them to the hospital. All in all, I was accredited with saving over 24 lives that night.
Wow. First of all, thank you for your bravery, and I'm sure the lives that you have affected have just been absolutely just changed by that, because like they could have been dead on the sidewalk, but you actually went out of your way to risk your own life to save these people. And you know what? You don't see bravery like that at all nowadays. Yeah. It's like very rare and uncommon. You're very uncommon as it is, because you know you're the dad, you're the advocate, but you also went into the line of fire. You're like, I have to save these people. Like, what made you, like, what sparked you to do that? Because there had to be a moment where you were standing there running for your life and you're like, I have to save these people. Yeah. What happened? I
think when you just hear people screaming for their life and needing help, that becomes a priority over your own safety. I can't say that for everyone. It's not bad if you don't go steal a truck and save over 24 people during a mass shooting. Right. You know, open a door for someone. But what I'm getting at is this goes into the mental health side of it, and it's fight, flight, or freeze. I chose to fight that night. My first response was flight. I ran for my life. I then regrouped myself, and then I decided I needed to fight, and the tools I had available to me was an idea of getting a truck and trying to save people. I learned after the fact also that ambulances can't come on scene until it's been completely deemed safe and clear. And so that time is extremely crucial, that people aren't getting ambulance help and they're bleeding out and dying. So my actions and hundreds of other people's actions using their own vehicles. We had Lyft drivers, Uber drivers, taxi drivers, letting people get in their car and taking them to the hospital. So as a collective, what I saw that night was, I think, out of tragedy, the most beautiful thing is humanity. And all walls were dropped. It didn't matter. I didn't look at you and be like, excuse me, sir, did you vote conservative this year?
Right.
And if you didn't, you're not getting in my truck. That doesn't happen when you're in these situations. It's just, I'm going to help you. I don't care the color of your skin. I don't care about your politics. I don't care if you're X, Y, Z.
You're there to help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just, we're going to help you. And so I did. And I feel like that moment showed me that one person who wants to harm, as many people they possibly can, thousands, I'm telling you, thousands of people stood up and said no to evil and helped each other that night. People were laying themselves across strangers, using their body as shields, getting killed, helping protect other people. So that just, I can't describe how much that locked into me, that more gun laws for law-abiding Americans is not the solution when evil people and criminals will go around all those laws, and all you're actually doing is preventing good people from being able to fight back and stop evil. So I sat on that for a while. I had my story. I did a global media tour with all the major networks and talked about my story. They wanted me to say what policies should happen, and I just stopped them in their tracks, said, hey, we're going to honor those that got lost and not talk about policy. So fast forward a few years, I came up with the brand 2A Daddy. I had just left a company that I was helping build and pivoted my skill set into building a new company. And since then, I've just been doing a lot of speaking events for Turning Point USA. I've launched a full gun store. We have a laser business that's pretty successful. We manufacture silencers. 2A Daddy Nap Time on 2adaddy.com is one of the better suppressors you're going to get your hands on. And that also stems from my advocacy as well. I wanted a silencer because I've won over liberals by saying, hey, come shoot with me. They're like, oh, it's scary. Assault rifles are terrifying. I'm like, you're right. They are. They're super loud. It's a fireball. It's a projectile. Like, you can kill yourself if you don't do this right. I get it. It's scary.
Yeah.
And so a suppressor takes away a lot of that percussion, muzzle, the percussion, the blast,
makes
everything.
it more user-friendly, I guess.
Drops the decibels to make it, it's just less scary overall. And I've been able to convince people to join my side through suppressors. So I deep dive for the last 2 years on additive manufacturing and figuring out how to produce one of the better suppressors on the market. And that's going to be what we do now, is be a suppressor company and advocate for our Second Amendment.
And you know what, first of all, thank you so much for advocating for our Second Amendment right. And you know, it's funny because, guns are scary, but guess what? We have the right to bear arms. We have the right to carry. But it's how you carry and how you use it correctly. Yeah. And I love the fact that you're going out of your way to teach people about this, because it is our amendment, it is our right, but a lot of people are like, yeah, it is our amendment, but I don't want to own a gun because that's just, scary.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's okay to, but you can also get classes. You can go with people to go to these ranges, learn with them, grow with them, create this community, because you know what? If war comes at our front door,
I want them on my side.
Yeah.
All of them.
What are you going to defend them with? A spoon? I don't do guns. Don't shoot me.
And that's, you kind of touched on it a little bit. That's the biggest red flag, pun intended, common sense gun laws. Red flags are bad. Say no to red flag laws. But a red flag when Democrats or people who are against our Second Amendment rights start saying, we need to do all these new gun laws. That's like the most disingenuous conversation or argument I've ever possibly heard.
Oh, yeah.
What they should be saying is, you have a right to protect yourself because we know that police aren't going to get there in time. You're going to be left to fight for yourself. And what we want to do is create more opportunity for you to learn and break this down and remove those barriers for you to be safer and more proficient with your firearm and be able to protect yourself if you need to. And that's how we know that those who want to take our rights away don't love us or care about us at all. They literally would rather you suffer and go through a tragedy helplessly than allow you to exercise your constitutional right.
Absolutely. And you have people out there that don't believe in it and thinking guns are the problem. No, I think the person holding it is the problem.
Yes.
Like, for example, that shooting, the gun just doesn't fire on its own, just walk around I want to shoot people. No, it's the person behind it holding it.
Yes.
If you know how to control a weapon, how to use it, and know when to use it at the correct time, that is your Second Amendment right. You don't have the right to, mow down people.
Yeah.
No. It's the actual learning process of, this is what this weapon is, this is our right of how to use it, and this is how we use it on a range or to defend ourselves. You take classes and you learn about it, because people are easy. They want to point fingers and say, oh, he's got a gun, he's a killer or whatever. Yeah.
It's the easy option is to say, it's the guns, just take those away. We're going to be fine.
Right.
Many countries have tried that and proven that it's not as effective as they would like. Australia, for instance, and I have 2 quick points. We could talk about this all day, everybody. Australia, they took guns away. Port Arthur. What we saw was a decrease in violence and homicide from firearms. Gotcha. that makes sense. You took away a tool, people use that tool less, there's less deaths by firearms. Got it. But what we have seen, contrary to what people want to believe, is we've seen an increase in violence and homicides in Australia. They just found a different tool. The evil still exists. You did not did not fix the problem in any way. All you did was make it so people who want to protect themselves no longer can protect themselves with the best means to do so. And then you touched a little bit on the mental health. This is what most of my journey has led me to, and it took me a long time to figure this stuff out, is Big Pharma is the #1 culprit in why we're seeing a rise in mass violence. A gentleman named Andrew Tebow sued the FBI and FDA and acquired over 700 cases of mass violence, showcasing and illustrating every single shooter was on these types of drugs that have a 3 to 5% black box label that cause homicidal and suicidal thoughts. The Big Pharma knows about it, FDA knows about it, or FBI knows about it, or government knows about it, and they're complicit because if they just by sheer volume in numbers, we will see more mass violence. We will cherry pick the ones that we want to highlight on all the news networks. We will pull your heartstrings. We will make you feel bad that you want to own a gun until enough people, we're reaching almost 50% of people in a poll, are willing to do more common sense gun laws, which just means actually taking guns away from people over a period of time. So this is mass manipulation over a long period of time. And I've been trying to figure out how we can combat this because no one's willing to step up to the table. You have a network, but most influencers, even Turning Point USA, they do not share gun stuff.
Yeah.
Because you get penalized, right? That's
right.
not by accident. That's intentional. So if you make it uncommon and you see less of it used in a safe manner, it makes it feel like it's the bad thing. And then people get more on board with you and you want to take those rights away. So.
You make so many good points that this might have to be a part 2 because we're just coming up to our time. But Taylor, what is one message you would share to my generation and those that want to learn about the Second Amendment? What would you suggest they do?
Ooh, man, you gotta study. That's it. You have to research. It's not easy. It's taken me 3-4 years to learn all this stuff. Information is not readily available. They just recently, the CDC took off a statistic from their official website that guns are used in over 3 million instances to protect in a protective manner and prevent harm or death to an individual. This statistic was not in their favor, so they just literally scrubbed it from the internet. You just have to be diligent. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable and get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's my message. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
I love that. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to learn more about Taylor and his company as well, along with his mission and what he has to offer, email us at taylorwinston@mainstreetmedianetwork.com. Learn more about the Main Street Media Network at mainstreetmedianetwork.com as well. You can check us out on their website there, and my website as well, www.everforwardcapitalpartners.com. And to my listeners out there, build yourself better and bigger every day. Live better, live bigger. Always move ever forward. Taylor, thank you so much for the work you do and the knowledge you share. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.